Hey guys, Kid Panda back again. We're going to do video 4 of the PCB collection. We are starting to wind down a little bit, so I'm going to go through my last ones. Basically, I'm going to save the personal ones that I really feel are really strong and mean a lot to me. I'm actually saving those for the end. So we're going to go through what I've got outlaid right now. We're going to go through 15 PCBs on this one. So we're going to kind of touch on a couple of them and hopefully enjoy what you see. All right. First up is a Konami title. This is Sunset Riders. If I'm not mistaken, this also runs on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles hardware as well. This is one I played a little bit of in the arcade, not too much. This was kind of an elusive machine as far as as far as where I lived. There was only a Pizza Hut that actually had it, and they only had it for a little bit. But I went ahead and found this one. This wasn't too expensive, so I went ahead and snagged this one up. Picked it up rather recently. I played through it. My buddies have played it a couple times too. It's a fun game. Actually, I enjoy it more than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which will actually probably be a cardinal sin to some people. But I really dig this game. It's got a Wild West motif to it. It's kind of the same as Cowboys and Moo Meza. And also Blood Brothers, which is another title I'd actually like to pick up sometime soon. But Sunset Riders, a lot of you guys have played it, so you know what it's like. So if you ever get a chance to pick it up, definitely scoop it up because it's not that expensive. All right. Next up, this is actually a bootleg, but it is a Psycho game. It is Samurai Aces. This was pretty much given to me. I bought it pretty cheap because it does have a few issues with it. Number one, you can't flip it, so pretty much it's not like normal orientation. It is a vertical game, but there's no way to do any type of dip switch flip on it whatsoever, and the audio is absolute trash. This is because it might be a licensed Psycho board. I seriously doubt it though, because I don't see any Psycho tags on it. But it was made in Korea, so the sound samples are very horrid. I have played through it a couple times. It's pretty fun. It's an enjoyable game. It's not something I recommend top shelf, but like I said, this is pretty much a cheapie, so I went ahead and just was like, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and take it. So if you guys ever get a chance, it is part of the Samurai series, which were actually pretty good, the ones I played. Not really my favorite Psycho game, but definitely worth checking out. Alright, next up we have is a pretty unique one. This one no longer has the A board for it. The A board pretty much was crap and garbage. But this is actually Captain Commando. But this one also has a bit of an issue. You really can't tell it obvious from the picture right here, but this board actually took a nasty fall. I got it at a pretty good price. I probably paid a little too much for it. It still is running on the original battery, but this PAL chip, actually there's damage on the socket on this side. So honestly, I really believe that either something was dropped on this corner or dropped in this area, because also you really can't see it, but this leg on the custom chip, which is right here, it's the last leg, was actually lifted completely and bent outwards. I did solder it back on, and the game actually runs, but there's actually vertical lines in the background layer. It might be something with one of the ROMs. I've kind of looked in the back of it. I don't see any busted traces on it or anything, but haven't really troubleshooted this one too much, so probably just need to mess with it a little bit more. But Captain Commando, I actually really enjoy it. It's pretty fun. One of my favorite beat-em-ups actually on the CPS1 hardware. Actually, a department store used to have it for quite some time, and I actually really enjoyed it. Loved the cabinet too. It was dedicated even. But if you guys ever get a chance, check out Captain Commando. Alright, now this one was actually a recent get. There's some issues with it. This is a Taito Raystorm. Got it in, booted up fine. That was my biggest worry, that it wouldn't boot up, but it booted up fine. Graphics are fine, sound effects are fine, but the music is a static mess. I've had a couple people tell me that maybe there was an issue over here in the audio section, possibly with the switch. I noticed that the switch itself is actually rusted. It could be a pot. It could be just even capacitors for all I know. But I've also noticed that the heatsink actually became separated from the bottom, so there might be some issues over there. It's really funny though, it is on ZN1 hardware, and this actually is a G Darius motherboard, so I'm not really sure if Raystorm had its own dedicated motherboard, but this is a G Darius motherboard with a Raystorm ROM board. But I really like this. It's part of the Ray series. This actually finishes up my trifecta, if you want to say it, of the Ray series. I've actually got all 3 of them now. Hopefully I get this one working, because I actually enjoyed this one on the PlayStation. Just figured I'd go ahead and grab it for the arcade version, but hopefully I can get it working. But Raystorm, check it out if you can. It's actually definitely worth a look. Alright, next up is another Psycho game. This is actually Strikers 1945-2. I definitely recommend this one. I don't like it as much as the first one, but this is one I played later on the shelf life on this one. I actually played the original Strikers 1945 before this, luckily. But I really enjoyed this one. Got this one pretty cheap too. You know, another Psycho game. Eases you into the difficulty. It definitely gets harder. It ranks up pretty fast. But it's not that expensive, and it's really, really good. It's nothing crazy like a cave game. It's still pretty much standard fare. If you like the World War II aspect of games, especially shoot 'em ups, I definitely recommend this one. The music's not, personally I don't think the music's as great as the first one, but still a fantastic game. I recommend everybody to play it. You can actually get on a lot of different compilations and whatnot, but if you're definitely into the arcade scene, I definitely recommend picking this one up. Alright, now this one is another Konami game. Now I'm not sure if I'm going to be pronouncing this right, but if I'm not mistaken, it is Gokujo Parodius. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not really sure which one in the series this is. I think this is the second game in the series, with Sexy Parodius being the third, and Parodius being the first. This one I really, really enjoy. Got a pretty good deal on this one. Took a gamble on picking it up, actually. But there's a couple capacitors that were knocked off of the top of the ROM board that I actually need to replace. But it looks like they're not connected to anything. I think they're just there. They're probably used on maybe another board, but I want to go ahead and replace them just to keep them pretty much legit, so I got to pick those up. But it's Parodius. I'm a big, huge fan of Gradius. Would love to get the original ROM, the actual original Gradius game, but I just don't really think that's going to happen at all. But got this one at a pretty good deal, so I went ahead and snagged this one up. Definitely give it a whirl, especially if you're into shoot 'em ups, as they would call them. Highly, highly recommend this one. Alright, here's yet another Konami board. This one is another one of the shoot 'em ups. This is Bells and Whistles, which is part of the Twin Bee series. This is, I think, the second game in the series, if I'm not mistaken, with Twin Bee being the first. Twin Bee, the original, actually is a non-JAMA, but I think this was the first JAMA Twin Bee game. I think if it's Bells and Whistles, it is the international release. I do love this game. It's a little bit different, it's a little quirky, because you have to kind of juggle stuff to actually get the items and the power-ups, but really, really good. I really like the very, very colorful, and I like the graphics on it. Definitely highly recommend it if you ever get a chance to pick it up. Got a pretty good deal on this one as well. And it seems to me that's kind of why I've got the nickname of Scoops, is because I kind of get good deals on everything. But if you ever get a chance to check this out, I highly recommend this one as well. Alright, next up is a Game Vision game. Now this is the only full kit game I actually own. Got it on eBay. Guys got a couple of sets of new old stocks of this. I'm sure pretty much anybody that's picked this game up probably bought it as new old stock, because it's not that expensive. I actually bought my full kit for $90. But this one is Wyvern Wings. It's from a Korean developer. It feels a lot like a Psycho game. The bullet sprays are the same. Kind of the enemy design is the same. Not as good as a Psycho game, but definitely highly recommended. Good cheap fun, especially if you just kind of getting into it and you want a vertical shooter. Full kits, can be had pretty cheap. I definitely recommend it. This is basically, I got the actual move strip, the dip switch setting. Also, the static bag actually has the Semicom, which is actually the company that made this. I also do have the PCB legs for it as well, but I also have the actual American marquee for it too as well. But that thing's pretty huge, and I really didn't think you guys wanted to see that at all. But like I said, that's my full kit. Only full kit I've actually owned. But yeah, if you ever get a chance, definitely check this one out too as well. Not too expensive, and definitely pretty fun for what it is. Alright, next up is a Technos title. This is Shadow Force. The only thing I can tell you is this actual PCB works. I have not played this game very much at all, so I really can't tell you anything about it. I picked it up in a buy of a couple of PCBs, so this is one I just haven't gotten around to actually even playing. I just tested it. For all I know, I could probably get halfway through the game and it completely crashes for all I know. But hopefully, I'll put it in and it'll work fine. So not really much I can tell you about this game. I guess you guys can check out a video for it and decide for yourself. I do know it is a beat 'em up, but that's about all I know for it. So it's Shadow Force. Alright, next up is a Capcom CPS-1 game. This is Area 88. This is actually the Japanese version of UN Squadron. This is one I was heavily looking for. Played it back in the Super Nintendo days. Never played the arcade until long after I played the Super Nintendo version of the game. It's funny, I actually prefer the Super Nintendo version of the game to the arcade version, but this is actually a really, really, really fantastic arcade title. Great music, pretty good selection of ships. There's 3 ships, tons of weapons in the game. Good difficulty. Later into the game, it does get a little bit on the cheap side. But this one, it's honestly, I haven't seen very many of these actually for sale. Usually, you always see Carrier Air Wing for sale. So I'm actually really happy that I was able to pick this one up. If you guys ever get a chance, I say snag this one up because this is definitely one of Capcom's better horizontal shooters. Really, there's not much to say about it. I think most people have either played UN Squadron in some shape, form, or fashion, whether it's been on emulation, Super Nintendo, or the actual arcade PCB. But definitely pick this up if you ever get a chance. I actually had to transplant an A board to this thing, so because this was actually, yeah, this was kind of a piece together. But like I said, if you ever get a chance, check out Area 88. Alright, now, here's another Capcom CPS-1 game. This one, I absolutely adore / loathe. This is Strider. Some people really love this game. I actually originally got this on the Genesis. Back in the day, I'd never played the arcade version before until after I played the Genesis version, but I remember getting the Genesis version one year for Christmas and absolutely fell in love with it, and I was completely blown away by it. And then actually after playing the arcade version, I never realized how close the Genesis version was. A lot of people were on the pretty much saying that the Super Graphics version, or the prototype, or whatever, it actually pretty much became vaporware. Everyone was saying that the Super Graphics version of Strider was going to be perfectly spot on. As far as conversions are concerned, or ports rather, I would definitely say that the Genesis version of Strider is pretty close to the arcade, about as close as you can get. Obviously little nuances, the sound is a little bit better on the arcade PCB, sprites are a little bit more detailed, but the overall functionality of the game is pretty much spot on. I have played this through a couple of times. I do enjoy it, but definitely playing on the Genesis so much, I think the game is actually kind of worn on me. Definitely a title, though, that's not going to leave my sight. This is definitely a permanent PCB collection game that I'm going to keep for a long time. But seems like this one's kind of roaming in the 150 price range right now. So I guess it really just depends on whether or not you're willing to spend that kind of money. It seems to kind of stay there. So it's Strider. If you guys haven't played it, I recommend it. If you have, honestly, I could even say you could go for the Genesis version. Alright, now we got a couple more Sega titles. This one is Columns. Real quick, easy puzzle game from Sega. Actually enjoy this one. I enjoy this one more than I enjoy Tetris. Tetris just seems so old and ported so much, and Columns I never got to play it very much, except for the Genesis version. Never actually saw the arcade version, or never saw it in the arcade, but love the Genesis version, and went ahead and found this. I found this one and also the next PCB I'll be showing you. So I figured I'd go ahead and snag this one real quick. So this is Columns. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. It's got pretty good music, pretty ramped up as far as like the difficulty goes up pretty fast. It's a real good fun game. I definitely highly recommend picking this one up. Usually not that expensive. Which leads us into our second one. This is Columns 2. This one I've only powered up to make sure that it worked, but it's a nice clean board. It's a Sega board, and from what I've seen, those things are pretty much built like nails. So pretty much, I mean, it's Columns 2. I don't really know how different it's set up between the two, but you guys ever get a chance, if you can pick this one up, pretty much either Columns 2, they're pretty much one and the same that I've seen so far. So definitely give it a try if you really enjoy the Columns titles. Alright, now we're going to start on some of my favorite games. We're going to go ahead and sneak one of these in. Actually, you probably can't see that very well, but this is Raiden Fighters 2. This game I absolutely love. I really dig it. It's a Cebu. This motherboard is pretty notorious. This one actually originally had a regular battery in it, but if you could probably tell, I can actually turn it this way. This battery, the battery that was originally in it, was a regular coin cell battery, and it actually had died, so it no longer held scores. So I went ahead and did a battery mod in it and put in a coin cell battery holder, and it just took a couple minutes. This game is freaking awesome. If you can actually get stereo sound out of this game, it will blow you out of the water. This game is just so intense. Obviously, I've been trying to one credit clear this thing, but this thing is balls hard for me. This one's pretty good price too. You can usually snag this one pretty cheap. I got a really good deal from a buddy of mine on this, and man, it's Raiden. If you love the Raiden series, you're definitely going to like the Fighter series. I highly, highly recommend this title. And that's pretty much Raiden Fighters 2. Alright, well, it looks like we got a little more time for a couple more games. Let me go ahead and yank them out real quick. This is another CPS2 title I own. This one is 1944, The Loop Master. I actually picked this one up from a forum buddy. I think he knows who he is. It's unique. I don't like it as much as 19XX or 1943, but you know what? I love it a lot better than 1942. It is a horizontal, or a vertical game, rather, I should say, much like some other Capcom titles that we'll actually get to in a little bit. This one's actually pretty worth it. I don't see this one for sale very often. This one actually has been Phoenix, so there's really no issue of it going dead or dying or anything like that. But pretty good deal on it, you know, and it was a buddy buy, so I'm totally okay with that. So if you guys ever get a chance, check it out, give it a whirl. You might actually like it. Alright. And we're going to do one more quick look. This one's probably some of my favorite hardware, and I'm going to go ahead and go get something else real quick before I show you guys this real fast. this is Sega STV hardware. This is also known as basically Saturn arcade hardware. Pretty much ports were, tit for tat as far as these were concerned. Pretty impressive hardware for the time. I definitely really dig it. I've been slowly collecting a lot of the titles that I wanted to pick up for it. But it's funny, when I first bought the board, obviously, what seems to come with every single STV arcade machine is Die Hard Arcade. Pretty fun, not great or anything like that, but pretty decent. But I've also picked up Decathlete, which is a pretty good version of Track and Field from Sega, which is actually pretty fun. Also, I've got Virtua Fighter Remix, which was also released on the Sega Saturn, and then also have Virtua Fighter Kids as well. But this is one of two titles, what I actually talk about later. Some people give me a little bit of lip on it. Some people love it, some people don't, as far as the other one. But this one was very important for me to get. This is Soki, or Terra Diver. This game was one of the most amazing Saturn games to me. Literally, I'm probably going to get shot by this by somebody that's a pretty good friend of mine. I actually think Terra Diver or Sokyo Gurentai is the best rising shooter to me. A lot of people feel Armed Police Batrider is. Armed Police Batrider is definitely number 2, and it would only be number 2 to Terra Diver. Hopefully soon I'll be able to get an Armed Police Batrider, but for right now, Terra Diver definitely is my number 1 title. I bought the Saturn version years ago, actually almost on release day. Took a gamble on it, bought it from a place that some people may recognize this name. Buy Right Video Games was a store in Raleigh. Pretty much defunct now, but games are pretty cheap, but they also had some pretty shady tactics from what I understand. But I definitely recommend, if you do pick up an STV board, to hunt out Terra Diver. I think you'll really enjoy it. And I think we got time for one more game real fast that I kind of want to get into. It's not a title I've played a lot of, but I got it for a pretty good price, and it was another buddy buy. Somebody was trying to downsize their collection, so I figured I'd go ahead and snag it real fast. He was nice enough to put in a really nice box for me and whatnot, but eventually I would like to get all my games in these types of boxes. But it is a Data East title. We have gone over the first title in this series in an earlier video, but I wanted to kind of save this for later. Well, actually I wanted to do it like this, but alright, let's see. Let's open this thing up and get this split out. This is Gate of Doom 2, or also known as Dark Seal 2, or also known as Wizard Fire, if I'm not mistaken, as well. This was another buddy buy. I snagged and picked this one up. I have played a little bit of it. I do want to beat Gate of Doom first, thoroughly, before I actually start picking this up. But from what I played of it, Data East were on their P's and Q's for this series, as far as I was concerned. Another isometrical adventure game, 2 players at the same time. If you guys can pick this one up, I highly recommend snagging this one, because this one's about pretty much top-notch. This one, as far as the Gate of Doom series is concerned, the closest thing that I come to it is the Gauntlet series, and I feel this is so much stronger than those titles. So if you ever get a chance to pick this one up, I highly recommend it. This one probably runs about in the $150 to $175 mark. So if you guys can get it for that price, if you want to give it a try it in emulation first. I don't know whether or not some of these games that I've talked about, if they're actually any good in emulation or not, whatnot, because I really don't mess with that stuff. But I want to thank you guys for watching this video. It looks like we've almost out of time on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up real fast. And thank you guys for watching my video. Sorry that I'm taking so long with this stuff, but I kind of want to go through it and let you guys know. Hopefully in the next video we'll come up with pretty much everything, and I'll see you then. Thanks a lot for watching.